New Zealand, regarded for its splendid landscapes and endearing people, nestled far away in the corner of the globe, we don't have the same issues as much of the rest of the world has, except of course for poverty, unemployment, crime and a housing crisis, but hey, we make do. There are tales of a time, many years ago, when residence was easy to obtain. You would simply walk up to an immigration officer and say, "Hey, can I have a residence visa please?" And they would give it to you. Migrants were valued then, they were desired, but things are different now. Hello, my name is Richard Brown, your charming, sincere and quite frankly brilliant immigration lawyer from New Zealand. Okay, so we're still working on the charming part, but we'll get there eventually. I want to talk briefly about the upcoming policy changes the government has announced earlier this year regarding the Skilled Migrant Category, what it means for you and how you can better face these upcoming amendments. The government is introducing two income thresholds. The first is $48,859 a year for people in skilled employment. This means skilled labourers will need to earn a minimum of $23.49 per 40 hours a week, or $26.85 for a 35-hour working week. Alternatively, if you have a job whether it is skilled or unskilled, and you earn over $73,299 a year, you will be invited to apply. Now, if you're thinking about getting residence as a customer service representative at a petrol station or from a liquor store, think again. Let's be frank here. There's no way you're making $73K in a position like that, and if you did, I would seriously question the legitimacy of your income and employment. The second threshold has helped pave way to residence for truck drivers and herd managers, who are currently not deemed skilled according to the current criteria. So if you're one of these people, I'm happy to say a pathway has been opened for you. Now, there's been quite a commotion in the media lately, particularly in the hospitality and retail sectors, which unsurprisingly are the ones who will be the most affected by the first threshold. It frustrates me when I see drivel like this, especially when owners are claiming their businesses will be ruined. If you're an employer who pays the bare minimum, and your staff are only putting up with you out of the expectation they will get residence, maybe you should consider alternative, smarter ways of doing business. It is about investing in people. For example, if you treat your staff with some respect, and offer them a pay increase following a few years of hard work, they will eventually meet the criteria, and there's a good chance they won't leave for another job as soon as they get their residence. On the flip side, I'll admit, what many restaurant owners say rings true. There are not many Kiwis out there willing to work in Malaysian restaurants cooking Malaysian food. The truth of the matter is that the remuneration changes will only affect a certain number of the skilled but low income earners. If you're working in high migrant markets, such as engineering, IT or marketing, the new income thresholds will not likely affect you because you're expected to earn over $50,000 a year anyway. This is how it works. When reviewing your income, immigration compares it to the average labour market rate for your position. Your residence will not be approved unless you are earning the average of what most people are making in these roles. The idea behind this is to keep wages up for skilled positions. The problem is that the average income for people working in hospitality, such as chefs or restaurant managers, or managers in small retail businesses, is between $16 to $24. So what can you do if you're one of these people who's making only around $18 an hour? Well, if you meet all the SMC requirements, you have at least 160 points, and have an offer of current skilled employment, meet the English language, health and character requirements, and are in employment which is sustainable, which is to say that your employer can afford to keep you, then I encourage you to apply now before the changes come into force on the 14th of August. I'm often asked, if I apply and my application is still pending, will the changes affect me? Short answer, no, most likely not. We have a rule of law in place. I'll give you an example. If I stole your car today, and it is perfectly legal for me to do so, I cannot be charged and prosecuted for stealing your vehicle should the law make stealing illegal tomorrow. Likewise, if you submitted your EOI and are issued an invitation to apply, your application will be assessed according to current instructions. You won't need to show an income of $48,859. You will then have 4 months to prepare your documentation and file your application. Bear in mind, if your EOI has been selected from the pool but is returned because it does not meet the requirements for an invitation, your application will become subject to the new requirements when you resubmit your EOI. So applying now is one option. But Richard, what if I don't yet meet the points threshold? Or I haven't got my English sorted yet? What can I do? Well, should it come to the point where you can only apply after the 14th of August, you should speak to your employer about raising your wage. Please do me a favour and don't ask your employer to increase your hourly wage to $23.50 if you're on minimum wage right now. If a raise of that magnitude appears unbelievable to me, it certainly will to an immigration officer. I wouldn't put it past an immigration officer to say something along the lines of,
"We do not believe you are in a genuine skilled employment as it appears your employer has raised your income from a figure of $16.50 to $23.50 solely for the purpose of meeting immigration requirements for residents."
I'm not saying this will happen, I'm anticipating that there is a chance it may. If you are on or just over $15.75, then ideally you should negotiate with your employer to include a clause in your contract to have your wage reviewed periodically on a 6-month or a yearly basis. Immigration can see that you are slowly making steps to improve yourself and that your employer is recognizing your skills by offering you a higher income. As for the other changes to the SMC, there will be an increase in points in the age for those who are sitting in the 30 to 39 age bracket. Now this is a very smart move because it captures the seasoned migrants who possess more experience than a young international student. They are also raising points for some recognised postgraduate qualifications and for skilled work experience. Pay attention to my words, skilled work experience. As it stands today, you can be awarded points for work experience which is either relevant to your current skilled employment or recognised qualification. John is a 28-year-old manager working at a large warehouse in Auckland. He has 2 years work experience in New Zealand and 4 years total work experience with a recognised level 5 diploma. Under current policy instructions, John will be awarded 160 points. However, immigration have indicated that they may be doing away with points gained for work experience prior to receiving a qualification. This means that John, who did not qualify until working after 3 years, will now only get 5 points for New Zealand work experience. This brings his points down to 140, making him ineligible to be selected from the pool. With the proposed stricter rules on what will count as post-study work experience, international students may no longer be able to collect points for their part-time employment. The policymakers are still working on the finer points, and nothing's set in stone for pre-qualification work experience at this stage. It is still a work in progress, but this is the current indication. My advice to people on work or student visas is to find out where you stand in terms of points and plan accordingly. Especially as points will no longer be available for qualifications in areas of absolute skill shortage for employment, work experience, and qualifications in identified future growth areas and close family in New Zealand. Strategies to increase your points could include moving out of the Auckland region, looking at getting a qualification whilst on the job, and chasing points for your partner's employment or qualification. I suspect that if you're a chef or a manager of some kind, you may be asking, well, why is this happening to me? Well, the concern is that students are quickly entering the workforce, are getting paid low incomes for jobs that Kiwis could be doing at higher pay. They are doing this because their end goal is residence. Once they have their residence, they will vacate the position for something completely different, and another migrant will happily fill that same position, apply for residence in a year or so, and the cycle continues. You must understand that we are a small country with an even smaller economy, and there is an impending election at our doorstep. Immigration is a hot topic, and the government has their voters to consider. Some critics would claim that these changes are a cunning appeal to New Zealand nationalists without actually putting a cap on immigration. I think there is some merit to that argument. New Zealanders are concerned with what's happening to places like Germany, France, and the UK, whose countries have opened their borders without strategically determining how these migrants can add value. Western society is being changed from the inside out, and this frightens people. And yet, ironically, despite the changes to the skilled migrant category, you won't see any decline in mass migration. Oh no, because the government still refuses to restrict migrants entering on student visas. After all, education is a valuable export. In other words, the government is saying, come, come, study in our beautiful and glorious country, but please, first give us all your money, and in exchange, we'll give you a qualification. Hell, we'll even throw in an open job search visa to work for a few years, and then you can go back home. Thank you for your time and patronage in New Zealand. Bye. This may have been a crude way of putting it, but from my experience, it's a reality that many migrants are having to come to terms with. I believe there needs to be a shift in the way migrants perceive employment in New Zealand. Migrants need to view their employment as more than opportunities for residents, and employers need to view their employees as more than just short-term labour for profit. Residence is not for everyone, it's a competition. New Zealand cannot be expected to house the world. We are a small country with a population of around 4.5 million people. If you want residence, you're going to have to earn it. Study hard, work hard, and prove you have the skills we need. It's as simple as that. Remember everyone, the clock is ticking. 14th of August is only a few months away from the date of this video. If you found this video informative and are interested in learning more about immigration topics, news and advice, please like, share and subscribe. More news on the upcoming changes are coming out in early July, so stay tuned for more. If you have a particular immigration topic you want me to discuss, please leave a comment below. Have a fantastic day everyone and take care.